You're in Braves country.
All right, we're up and at 'em. We had some. I started the wrong stream. I'm not sure what the hell. I think I started something that. Anyways, I went into the wrong studio. We got so many of these studios, so nonetheless, it'll take me a second to get everything back up to normal on how we're supposed to be bringing this in. But any way you look at it, welcome to Braves Country today, and we will. Let me see here. Make sure I've got this thing going in the right direction. As Braves Country today, Seattle Mariners series versus the Braves. And got to restart a couple of things, so give me 1 second. I got to go back into the right studio. It's hard to explain what happened, but basically I grabbed a link that wasn't intended for this show. I'll have to go back and remake that and delete it. Anyways, I'm sitting there going, like, why is nothing? And I realized, damn it, I'm in the wrong thing. So here we go. Good to see you, Jameson and Freedom and PETA and Justin. Apologize for the misstep that just occurred, but that's all right. Only took me a couple of seconds to realize, all right, we're on the wrong studio. Good morning to you out there in Radio Land. You can also catch us on Braves Country Radio. If you're a member, you can catch it live. You can also go to Armchair QB Radio. We have it simulcasting over there, so the different radio stations can grab it. I believe WQVZ is in here today, so good morning to you. The others, I don't get the emails till much later, so good morning to you. I just don't know where you're at. And we are coming to you live just past the 10 o'clock hour on Friday, and just got done with the football show. We do the college football show on Friday morning. We do the NFL one on Thursday morning. So we got all our picks in, and now we can focus on the baseball weekend. And tonight, so if you're there was a question just as we were leaving the studio on the football end of it this morning. Who is pitching today? Today it is Chris Sale Day, and Chris Sale, this is actually a very good weekend if you're looking at the pitching matchups for the Braves, and Seattle has very good pitching in their own right. So this should be a pitcher's duel throughout the entire weekend. But it's Chris Sale today, 7:15 first pitch. Waldrop pitches tomorrow, 7:15 first pitch. And then you're going to have to remember this because I'll do some reminders over the weekend, but this is a weird start time on Sunday. We are the Roku game of the week, so the game is actually going to come on at noon on Sunday. Not your typical 1:30, 1:35, so noon. So for you football fans, that works out well because the game ought to be over with about halftime of the first slate. Elder. What are you asking about Elder, PETA? He just pitched. You don't know how this works anymore already? I mean, come on. Get it together. He just pitched. Elder pitched on Wednesday night. Of course he's not pitching this weekend. You need a minimum of 4 days. I clicked the wrong thing, paying attention to nonsense. It's Sale, it's Waldrop, and Strider. So these are actually three guys who are going to be in the rotation next year. So it gives you a good idea of what to expect. You won't see Elder, thankfully, until next week. He'll be going up against the Cubs for a second time. That could get sketchy. He pitched well in Chicago, but he's going to go up against Chicago a second time next week, and 2 times in 1 week for any pitcher is tough in Major League Baseball. I would kind of like to see them punt it and let him pitch next. Who do we have next weekend in Detroit? No, that's the following weekend. We're at home against Houston. I would kind of like to see give him an extra day or two of rest and let him pitch in the Houston series and let someone else have at the Cubs, because Wentz is going to be going through the same thing. But when you see the same team twice, I don't know why they do that in Major League Baseball. I've seen it a lot this year, not just with the Braves but other teams. Why in God's name would you have a team play the other team twice in a calendar week? Because you know that means that those pitchers are going to face each other again. So the second time through, it's going to be brutal for the starting pitcher. You're basically going to have to go in on – that's right, Jameson Strider has it on Sunday. It's once again Sale, Waldrop, Strider. 3 guys that will be in the rotation assuming health next year. You got to look at next year's rotation. You won't have Wentz, you won't have Elder unless there's an injury or something like that. But what you're typically going to get next year are the 3 guys that are going to pitch this weekend. And then you'll also have, of course, Schwellenbach coming back. You'll have Ronaldo Lopez coming back. But we all know 5 pitchers doesn't get you through a major league season, so you're going to have backup plans. And I would think, unless it involves a big-time trade where they can shore up something like the DH spot or something, you're probably going to get Elder back in some fashion next year. He'd be one of the first or second guys out of the minors to help fill a spot when there's an injury or they just want to give guys a day off. Now, I will say this, it gets more and more critical for the Braves to think about moving Elder because he's running out of options. So with that being said, he may get moved in the offseason. But as of right now, he would be in their tentative plans. It's kind of like what happened with some of the other guys we've seen over the last few years, guys like Ian Anderson and whatnot, where they may have wanted to give them extended looks, but you just don't have the ability because you're talking about if you send him down to the minors on an option and he's out of options, he goes out there on the waiver wire. So, the heck with Elder. Why in the world are we talking about him? We're here on the weekend. He's not pitching until Wednesday or Thursday next week. The Braves are going to host the Mariners, and the Mariners looking at, and we'll do this game by game, but you obviously you get Chris Sale tonight versus Logan Gilbert. That is a nasty matchup. Now, Gilbert has had some hiccups along the way, but he's one of the most talented right-handers in all of baseball. 6'6", 215-pounder out of Winter Park, Florida. 28 years old, and if you don't follow American League Baseball, you probably don't know this, but he is a strikeout machine. And he had a bad outing in Philadelphia 3 starts ago, but all in all, he's been pretty good the last month. He had an injury issue that he came back from in the second part of the year. But you look at what he's done last time out, 6 innings, 3 earned, 6 punchies. The time before that, 6 innings, 13 strikeouts. He stumbled in Philadelphia, but before that, at Baltimore, I know they don't have a great team this year, but they got a very good offense. 6 1/3, 6 strikeouts. White Sox, 5 innings, 6 strikeouts. So the theme of this with him is going to be the fact that, by the way, right now he's got 144 strikeouts on the year, and that is through, is that 103 innings pitched? That's a high rate for a Major League Baseball pitcher. A lot of swing and miss, a lot of whiffs. It's not saying we can't get to him and score some runs, but expect a lot of strikeouts tonight. Just expect it. He is, it's 103 innings right now and 144 strikeouts. and only 26 walks. That's the big caveat there. Most guys that have that big of a strikeout rate walk the hell out of people. Even Jameson laughed at PETA. AJ Smith-Shawver. You know he had surgery on his arm, right? He's gone for like 2 years? All right. Grant Holmes is an option next year. We'll see how that Kooky Duke's decision goes. He decided not to get the immediate surgery. I don't think it realistically matters because if he ends up having to decide on Tommy John, he's going to miss 2026 anyways. He's just punting it to see if he can rehab it and somehow, some way, pitch next year. And if not, he'll end up being we'll see you with AJ Smith-Shawver in 2027. All right. Logan Gilbert versus Sailor Knight should be a heck of a pitching matchup. A lot of strikeouts and very few walks. I expect a low-scoring game. I haven't seen the over/under yet. I'm assuming it's probably like 6.5. It normally is with two aces like this on the mound. And I'll go ahead and give you a prediction tonight. I think you're going to get an extremely low-scoring game. I think it's going to be a pretty fast-moving game, and we'll take the Braves to win it. I mean, I'm going to call it how I see it. Give me the Braves to win it 3-1, like that low-scoring of a game. If there's anything you're planning on doing on Friday night, you can probably get to whatever party you're getting to, because I think we're going to get through this game in about 2.5 hours. Saturday's matchup. Now, Saturday's matchup is becoming one of my favorite days in Braves country. Hurston Waldrop. Love watching that kid pitch. And I am looking forward. Don't get me wrong. I'm looking forward to the Chris Sale one tonight because I haven't called a Chris Sale game in a minute, because when he came back last Saturday, it was the one game that we had missed in months. But Saturday night, it's Bryce Miller versus Hurston Waldrop. We have a very good chance of getting to Bryce Miller. He's a kid that's got good stuff, but he's been up and down this year. He's battled some injuries. So you're going to see some electric stuff coming out of his hand, but he's got an ERA north of 5. It's actually just below 6. So think of a harder throwing version of Bryce Elder, where there's times where he goes out and he looks good, and then there's other times you're going, how is this guy in the major leagues? It's going to be that kind of thing. So hopefully we get the bad version of Bryce Miller and not the good version. Hurston Waldrop has been phenomenal. He got the NL Pitcher of the Month, 4-0, a 101 ERA, a 101 whip, 35 innings, 33 strikeouts. He has walked a few more than you would like at 11, but he's a rookie, and you're going to go through those growing pains. He's given up just the one home run. I like that game a lot. I think the Braves have a very good opportunity to win that one. So if you look at tonight as a true toss-up because of the two stud pitchers going at each other, and then you look at tomorrow as a game we should win, then let's look at Sunday, because that turns into you got to be going for a sweep or you might be fighting to win the series. It's Castillo versus Strider. And if you look at it from the bare minimum, you're going to say they have an advantage. His ERA is 3.94. His whip is lower than Strider's. His is 1.29. Strider's is 1.39. Strider's ERA is now below 5 at 4.97. Castillo's given them 155 innings and 138 strikeouts. He's not quite the strikeout pitcher he used to be, but he's still a formidable starter. On an early game in Atlanta, a day game, that early, the Braves usually are not awake in the first part of the game. Let's just be honest. They don't come in fired up. I don't know if they're not giving them coffee, whatever the hell the deal is, but they're usually got their heads up their rear until about the 4th to 5th inning. So I think that's going to be a fairly low-scoring game. I think the Braves will put some runs up on the board on Saturday. But I think that's going to be a pretty low-scoring game, and then maybe you get a little bit of spark towards the end of the game. But we do have the advantage, though it's slight, on Sunday, because Strider has looked much better his last couple of times out. And if we get that Strider, now he's not getting the strikeouts, and that's a concern, but I still think this is all going to clear up by 2026. I think he's going to get in fact, I know it. He's going to get the fall the winter to rest up. He won't be on any kind of throwing program. Nobody is in the off season. It's going to build up his arm. He'll go back into the spring next year, probably starting around January. He'll start doing some soft tosses, and you're going to see an electric version of Strider by next spring. I fully believe it. If I didn't, I wouldn't be planning on keeping him in my dynasty league. I fully believe that he's going to be back, but he has not been striking out guys recently. And you're going to see and realize, Freedom, I know why you're asking this. Everybody, too many people worry about the velo and not worry about the control. It's the control that's been getting him. His velocity is still 96, 97 miles an hour. That's not nothing. For people who never stood in a box and taken pitches, go to your local batting cage and dial it up to 96 miles an hour. That is coming at it. That's top tier velocity. But I think you're probably going to see closer to 98 next year, maybe even 99. It's not his velocity that's been hurting him. It's been his control. And the reason why the strikeouts haven't been there is because he's falling behind in counts. So he's still bringing it at 96, 97 miles an hour. That's enough to strike a guy out. But when you're not getting ahead in the counts, that slider and that curve, it's hard to throw that when you're down 3-2, when you're down 2-1 in the count, 3-1. You have to come in with the fastball that still has pretty good movement, but now they're sitting on it, and you're more likely to not get the strikeout. You're going to get a ground out, a pop out. Sometimes it's runs on the board. But you look at what he's done recently. Everybody is so concerned about that velo. It's not the concern. It's what most pitchers are. It's just like, what's the guy's name in Miami? Alcantara. Alcantara. His velo is a little down, but it's not. That's not what's killing him. What's killing him is location and command and not getting open, not getting ahead early in the counts. Because if you remember, good Strider, I'm talking about before the injury, he was always up 0-1, 0-2, and then you're sitting there fighting for your life because there's a fastball coming in mid to high 90s. What Strider's eventually going to learn how to do because of this injury. So look at the glass half full for me for a second. Because he has struggled with command this year and his velocity's down just a tick, when it comes back to full next year, he's going to have the experience of still how to get guys out when he doesn't have his best stuff. So in those outings, when he goes out there next year, we'll say like in the middle of May or June, and he just doesn't have the command, he'll still remember how to get guys out. Whereas his entire career, he's always just been able to punch you out because he's been accurate, he's been getting ahead, and then he's up 0-2, and you're sitting there hoping that you don't get K'd in the at-bat. You look at what he's done the last few outings. Now, the outing against the Cubs, 3 earned, 5 innings. He gave up the home run, but the walks are a concern. 3 walks to 1 strikeout. So let's focus on that. The outing before, though good numbers in the 30,000-foot view of 7 innings and 1 run, 3 hits. But once again, 2 walks versus 3 strikeouts. That's a terrible ratio. The one before that, 1 walk to 2 strikeouts, terrible ratio. 2 walks to 2 strikeouts, terrible ratio. The last time he had very good strikeouts to walks was way back on August 6th. But if you remember in that game, he gave up a ton of hits because he was over the plate too much. So when you're giving up 11, 8, 10 hits out there time after time again, that's the concern with Strider. He shows flashes, but it's usually against the weaker offenses like Miami a couple outings ago. Seattle's one of your weaker offenses. Now, they made some moves at the deadline that make them a little more deep as far as that lineup, but I still think that he can eat on Seattle. And if you think we're going to struggle at noon Eastern on Sunday, think about what they're going to do. They're coming from Seattle. That's 9 a.m. local time. They're out there playing a baseball game, and they're going to be ready to head home. So I do think the Braves are going to get this series, even though Seattle is fighting for their playoff life. I think this is a series we're going to be able to get. And then we're going to be up against it the following series when it's Wentz and it's Elder seeing Chicago two times in 1 week. And then we would assume Sale would get the ball the last game of that series, but the way it looks like they're waiting to throw Sale about once a week, so they may wait till next weekend to pitch Sale. And that could be a very good possibility. They could end up getting. By the way, there were some moves made. I should have let off with this. That's my fault. The Atlanta Braves made some moves during the off day yesterday. So let me pull it up because I'm going to forget one of the details if I don't pull it up here. Okay. The Braves reinstated Jurickson Profar, so he is back. They recalled Daysbull Hernandez to the bullpen. We'll see what he's got. He has struggled. They designated Luke Williams for assignment. We'll see. He normally ends up coming back to Atlanta, but we'll see what happens. That really is a hard hit to our bullpen. I mean, come on. The guy goes out there and gives you some innings sometimes in these blowouts that really saves your bullpen. I'm a little surprised they DFA'd him, but anyhow, we finally released Cal Quantrill. And they also Wander Suero was claimed off of waivers from the Mets. Bye-bye. Don't want to see you again. Bye-bye. So we get rid of Suero. We get rid of Quantrill. I'm a little surprised that the Mets are out there picking up Suero, but they might be grabbing him for the typical, if it's a blowout, we'll put him in type game. But Cal Quantrill, she gone. We skipped him in the rotation. We knew that was coming on Wednesday. I mentioned it during the broadcast. But because they skipped Quantrill in the rotation, you knew he was gone. They were keeping him literally for we need him, we will end up putting him in. But he's gone. So Quantrill's gone. Luke Williams may come back to us. We brought in Profar, and we bring back Hernandez. And Suero was claimed off of waivers. Those are the big nuggets. And other than that, I think we're pretty much caught up here. Oh, by the way, Raisel Iglesias did win reliever of the month. So you got to love the fact that he's now all of a sudden hitting on all cylinders as he's about to hit free agency. So the chances of the Braves signing him become slimmer and slimmer, but you never know. He may give it a hometown discount. It is interesting. The Dodgers have released a couple of guys that the Braves could end up going in on. We'll see what happens. I'll probably talk about that more tonight, but I noticed a couple of moves, and we'll see if they bounce back. The Braves could give an outside chance to one of these guys. I mean, you might as well, as opposed to bringing some of the Cal Quantrills of the world around. But other than that, I thought it was a great debut for Harris and Munoz, who came up from the minor leagues, from our bullpen. The future is bright in our pitching. It really is. And I don't think you can rely on them next year. They need to be a couple of guys that you're still developing down on the farm, but are probably able to come give you some valuable innings by, we'll say, June. Because remember, contract manipulation. They don't want these guys to necessarily be on the opening day roster, because you can delay their free agency by a season, sometimes even two, if you wait a little later. But it is good to know that you're going to have that depth down there in that pen. Hayden Harris looked really good. I thought Munoz looked really good as well. And so we'll continue to see these kinds of moves all throughout. We'll probably see some today. they don't have to announce the roster moves till later on today. And with the expanded rosters, you can shuffle guys in and out, up and down, and not have to worry about it. So, all in all, I thought that was – I know we would have liked to have won the series against the Cubs, but Elder pitched well. He's got to do it more often. That's his problem. He can't just have these games where he looks good, and a lot of it has to do with the elements. He's got to go out there and show that on a regular basis. Hell, if nothing else, he's got to drive up his trade stock for us. Because if they decide to make a move in the offseason, Elder's a guy that some of these teams may want to take a chance on, fourth or fifth pitcher in their starting rotation, and we get something back for him. But they're not going to do that if his ERA continues to sail north of 5. Or even it could be a situation where he comes back next year and he's a part of a trade package at the deadline. You always want your guys to pitch well and hit well because they are assets that can be moved, whether or not they're going to stick with you long term or not. Bryce Elder is not the pitcher in a starting rotation on a World Series title team. But he could be a guy who's a fourth or fifth innings eater for teams who are trying to back their way into the playoffs. And so what Elder is short-term for us is, if he's with us next year, he's there to eat innings from time to time, but you don't want him in your starting rotation because he's a hole in the rotation. But he does show signs where you're like, man, why could he not duplicate this more? It's because he does not have elite velocity. And if he does not have the control in that sinker and that slider on the outside part of the plate, going back and forth, he's an east and west guy. He's not a north-south guy. If he doesn't have the control east and west, he falls behind, and then he's got to go to his fastball, and his fastball is only topping out around 93, 94, and it's getting clobbered. He's a sinker-slider guy, but he could be an asset, and that's not nothing. All right, we'll go ahead and get out of here. Any news on Riley? Yeah, he's done for the season. You got to quit smoking. Quit eating them edibles. It's only 10:30, Peter. We'll see you next time. Riley gone. Riley, he's been gone. We talked about that last time. Riley's gone. A.J. Smith-Shawver's gone. Who else? Freddie Freeman's a Dodger, in case you missed it. Dansby Swans is playing for the Cubs. Love you all. We'll see you tonight.
Goodbye, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
It's closing time, y'all. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Have a great one. On your way out, please like and subscribe. And don't forget to tip your favorite bartender. We'll see you. I'm Mac McGee, signing off for Braves Country Radio.